Good morning, and thanks for joining us this morning. I'd like to start by talking about Iowans' response to our two-day education summit in late July and tell you about a post-summit roundtable coming up with young Iowans at the Iowa State Fairgrounds later this week. First, Iowans' response to the summit has been overwhelmingly positive. I want to thank everyone who attended and everyone who watched online. You can still watch the videos on the Iowa Department of Education website. The goal of the summit was to elevate the conversation about how we can work together to provide all students with a world-class education no matter where they live. It's not that Iowa schools have gotten worse. We have many good schools in our state, but other states have put more ambitious education improvements in place over the last decade or so and passed us by. So the summit focused on three key areas of change. Number one, how to get a great teacher in every classroom, a great principal in every building, and provide the support they need to do their jobs well. Number two, raising academic standards and putting in place strong matching assessments. Number three, innovation that increases learning, such as providing a more personalized education with the use of technology as well. In emails, letters, and phone calls, as well as conversations that we've had as we've traveled around the state, Iowans have let us know that their priority is giving Iowa's children the best possible education. Iowans do not want to settle for middle of the pack, which is what has happened with our test scores in math and reading on the National Assessment for Educational Progress. In the 1990s, Iowa was a top-performing state. We need to be best in the nation again and ensure our students are internationally competitive. We will continue to listen to Iowans' ideas about how to reach those goals as we work to draft the recommendations, which we intend to have done by October 1st, on how to transform education here in the state of Iowa. An Iowa Department of Education survey of people who attended the summit is one way that we will do that. That survey will be conducted over the next several weeks, and responses will be shared with you as soon as possible. After the draft recommendations are issued, we will continue to listen to Iowans' feedback at town hall meetings around the state in the month of October and November. We'll issue a report with final recommendations before the 2012 legislative session convenes. Now I want to turn it over to Lieutenant Governor Reynolds.
Thank you, Governor Branstad, and good morning. As Governor Branstad indicated, the response to the Education Summit was overly positive, but we did hear some concerns that students' voices were not heard. And that is a valid point. So the governor and I will be hosting a roundtable discussion on Friday, August 19th at the Iowa State Fairgrounds with high school students from all across the state of Iowa. We'll ask for their suggestions on what it means for them to have a world-class education. For example, what are the qualities for a great teacher? How could classes be more relevant and engaging? And are internships with businesses or nonprofits that earn high school credits possibly the answer? The roundtable will be held from 3:30 to 4:30 on Friday, August 19th at the Penningroth Media Center in the Cattle Barn on the Iowa State Fairgrounds. We're inviting the public to attend. They have seating capacity of about 700, so it's a great opportunity for people that are out at the fair to participate and be a part of the roundtable. And so we hope many Iowans will consider joining us at the State Fairgrounds for the roundtable. We're also pleased to announce that JDL Horizons will produce the roundtable events with assistance of the students from Van Meter School District in addition to the governor's office. eSchool Media will deliver the roundtable events to a national audience of nearly 1 million K-12 educators throughout North America and around the world, and we will have video of the roundtable available after the summit.
Okay, we'd be glad to respond to your questions on this or other subjects this morning. Well, it was a great weekend for Iowa. First of all, the weather was perfect. The attendance was great. I think it was a very festive occasion. I think Iowans are very serious about the need to focus on jobs and restore fiscal responsibility in this country. I spent a lot of time up at the straw poll in the morning and then at the State Fair grounds in the afternoon. And of course, we also had our sister state, Yamanashi Prefecture, and signed a reaffirmation of that. That's our oldest sister state. It's a great positive relationship we've had. And we had the steer show, and I won the steer show. So it couldn't have been better.
Good day all around.
Yeah, it was number 4 for me in winning the steer show. I want to say Corey McLaughlin, the young woman from Minneapolis who raised the steer, is probably the best showman and the best steer handler that I've ever worked with. She started showing steers when she was in 4th grade. She's just going into her junior year in high school, and she had quite a team. The name of the steer was Ferdinand, and we had just a great cheering section, and we had a lot of fun, and that's a great cause. And I'm proud to say that we started the Governor's Charity Steer Show with the Iowa Cattlemen's Association and the Beef Industry Council back in 1983, and now it's raised over $1.8 million. By the way, my steer was purchased by Kevin O'Brien, who has the McDonald's restaurants in Iowa City, Coralville, and the McStop in Williamsburg. And I kind of go back a ways with his family. His father and mother, Bill and Dorothy O'Brien, who are both deceased now, were very involved early on and bought some of my steers in the early years when I was governor and helped us. Of course, we have the Ronald McDonald House in Iowa City. When we started the steer show, we didn't have that, and we have one in Sioux City as well as here in Des Moines. And he paid a record $13,100 for the steer. That was, I think, the most they've ever gotten for a steer at the Governor's Charity Steer Show. So I was very appreciative of that, and it was kind of deja vu all over again to be there with Kevin O'Brien. And also, I just want to say that, you know, we got great attendance at the fair. I think that's going really well. It's been kind of an exciting weekend, and a lot of political activity also. You know, the turnout was the second highest we've ever had at the straw poll. And I want to congratulate Michelle Bachmann. In only 48 days, she put it together and turned the votes out to win the straw poll. But I also want to say that I had breakfast with Rick Perry this morning, and he's going to be at the fair today, and he's also aggressively and actively campaigning here in Iowa. So I think we're going to have a very hotly contested Iowa caucus, and I'm encouraging Mitt Romney to get here and actively campaign. I know he came for the debate and for the appearance at the Iowa State Fair, but I think it's important as the national front runner for him to actively campaign in Iowa. This is where it all starts. You know, this is where we launched Obama, but I think we could launch as a successor as well. I certainly want to do all I can to try to help that happen. Yes, he will compete. And I think if you were, I saw the media coverage from last night. I mean, he did the kind of thing that I've recommended all the candidates do. That is, he worked the room. He spent the time there. He got there early. He stayed late, and he met with people, and he answered their questions. And he's focusing on the things that are important, restoring fiscal responsibility and jobs. He's got a great record in Texas in terms of he's created more jobs than any other governor, and he also passed tort reform. It's helped them bring more doctors and more business and jobs to the state. He recognizes, and they're a state without an income tax, so reducing taxes and regulatory burden are things that we want to do in Iowa. There are things that he's done in Texas. So, you know, I think he's a kind of an exciting new entry into the race, but not to detract from the other candidates that have been here before and have worked hard, and certainly Michelle Bachmann, who was born in Iowa and has made a real strong commitment here, deserves a lot of credit. But you know, I want to say Rick Santorum, without a lot of resources, I think made a significant showing here, and he's got a strong following, and Herman Cain, I think, also impressed a lot of people, and so, you know, it goes on. The straw poll was the first step, and it's kind of an expectation game, and the result of the straw poll is that there's going to be some adjustments that are made, but the caucuses are what really count, and we want to see an active contest here, and I think we're going to have it. I'm real excited about that. That's kind of a trick question. You know, I've said I'm not going to divulge that, and that might give you too many hints. So, like I said, I want to be a good host, and I want all the candidates to feel welcome, and I want to give them my best advice. And I've been honest with you about that. And the way I've won elections here is going to every county, actively campaigning, meeting with people, answering their questions, and sharing with a vision of where I want to lead the state. And I got elected. I beat an incumbent to get elected governor of this state by focusing on eliminating this deficit spending and getting the state's financial house in order. We made substantial progress in that. We're going to focus on jobs. That's the #1 issue in Iowa. It's the #1 issue in America. And right now, the heavy tax burden is driving business and jobs out of this country. In fact, when I was in Chicago last week, calling on a company, and this never happened to me when I was governor before. When I was governor before, the Canadian dollar was weak, and we were bringing all kinds of companies from Canada here. You may remember IPSCO Steel. Huge Canadian investment here, which is now SSAB, and they have expanded. But also, we got a number of automotive component parts manufacturing plants from Canada. We got Skyjack and several other companies from Canada that came to Iowa. This company told me Canadians have changed their whole situation. The Canadian corporate income tax has now been reduced to 18%. It's going to 15% next year. And the Canadian dollar is now stronger than the American dollar when it used to be much weaker than the American dollar. Their financial institutions are healthier. This is a tragic situation when Canada is beating us like this. That's why we need a change in leadership and why we need to reduce the tax and regulatory burden that are weighting down the free enterprise system and causing America not to be competitive in terms of bringing good jobs to our country. Well, first of all, we talked about the Navy SEAL from Iowa. His funeral is going to be Friday. He's very close to the Navy SEALs. In fact, he's had, I think, a Navy SEAL live with his family for a while. He is a military veteran and he is a Texas A&M graduate. Of course, Texas A&M plays Iowa State, so we talked a little bit about that, and so we had a very good conversation. Also, he comes from an agricultural background. He served in the legislature, but he was also commissioner of agriculture before he was lieutenant governor and governor. So he understands agriculture and, of course, energy. And we talked about wind energy. Texas is #1. We're #2, so we're trying harder. And we're not as big a state as they are, but I told them we're up to 20% of our electric utilities now being generated from wind, and that's been really a great thing for Iowa, and also the importance of energy as well as jobs in terms of being key issues. The other thing we talked about is the tremendous success they've had with tort reform and what it's meant to bring more doctors to Texas. That's something we need to do in this state. So even when I was at Des Moines University, I was aware of that. But boy, they used to have real problems, and that was very difficult to attract doctors, and now that's turned around dramatically since they passed tort reform. So that's one of the things that, and he said that when he talked in Waterloo, he said he got a really great response on the tort reform issue from the audience there, and I said that doesn't surprise me at all. Well, I think it's a wide open race, and I've said that before, but I think it is very much a wide open race. It's no doubt that nationwide, Romney's the front runner, but I think he needs to come and actively compete here in Iowa to show that he can compete in Iowa, because you know what happens after the Iowa caucuses, it basically, the field is narrowed, and those people that don't do well in Iowa, that can be a real blow as they go on to New Hampshire and elsewhere. And so I think it's important for Romney to come and compete here, and then I think we'll have a wide open race. I mean, already I think with Bachman has made a strong commitment here and has demonstrated her ability in a short period of time to put the organization together to win the straw poll. And you have Santorum, who I think has a real, even though he doesn't have a lot of resources, I think he's got a message that resonates with a lot of Iowans, and a lot of people respect his commitment and his tenacity. Herman Cain similarly. And Ron Paul obviously has a very strong core group of supporters that will do just about anything for him. So I think it's going to be an interesting race, and I'm excited about it, and I want to do all I can to make sure that Iowans actively participate. Also, I'm excited about the fact that the new people are participating. We're getting independents and dissatisfied Democrats that have come to the straw poll. I think even more of them will come to the caucus, because this is where the contest is. This is where we have an opportunity in Iowa to play a lead role in choosing the next leader for this country. And we take our responsibility very seriously, and we want as many Iowans as possible to participate in those Iowa caucuses. Yep. Right. Right. Yes. Actually, Chuck Palmer's doing a great job, and by the way, the Medicaid budget is within it's within target. And you may know that the last I think 9 years that I was governor before, Medicaid came in within budget every year, and this year one of our big challenges when I came to this office was $540 million hole because they'd used one-time money for Medicaid. To Chuck Palmer's credit, he put together a thoughtful approach to deal with that. And some of the things, as we got into them, didn't work out maybe the way that he'd hoped, or the savings weren't significant enough that it was worth the pain. And so, and he came to me, and we worked with him on that, and so I'm very supportive of the adjustments and changes that have been made. But I'm also very appreciative of the fact the Medicaid program is being well managed. And it appears at this point that the Medicaid, at least for this fiscal year that we've just begun, is going to stay within budget, and that has not been the case for years. You may know that the legislature in past years has underfunded Medicaid and pushed it into the next fiscal year. That was a way in which they could really mislead the public as to the level of spending. We insisted that be changed, and that we have an honest budget, and that the money appropriated for Medicaid be adequate, and we believe that is the case so far. And I think a lot of credit goes to the way that's being administered by the Department of Human Services. Well, actually what we're seeing is as we bring more jobs into the state of Iowa, and as we better manage that program, we're being able to control those costs. And David, maybe you have more specific information on it, but as I understand it, the Medicaid budget is actually trending in a positive direction for the state of Iowa right now. So you can check with the department. They can give you the more details on that. But that's, as you know, that's a big chunk of the budget. It's nearly 25% of the state budget. So it really needs to be carefully controlled and managed. But I have every confidence. I'm very confident that it's being done very well. So I'm pleased with it, and I think the trends are positive with Medicaid. Not if they actively participate in the caucus. I think that's going to be the key. The caucus, the straw poll is important, and we're appreciative of the people that participated, and the enthusiasm and the energy that has been built up because of the straw poll, the money that's been raised that's going to help the Republicans elect more Republicans to the legislature and other offices. But I think the caucuses, which will be coming up early next year, are going to be the real important test. And the best thing they can do is actively campaign here and show their vision and their plan. And I think the focus on jobs and restoring fiscal responsibility is what Iowans and Americans look for and want in the next president. Well, I don't know. We had a lot of fun at the straw poll, and I guess I'm not going to try to second guess the strategy of the different candidates and the way they do things, whatever. Most importantly, I think it's important to come to Iowa, actively campaign here, share your vision and plan for jobs and restoring fiscal responsibility. And I think that Governor Perry is committed to doing that, as is Michelle Bachmann, and we want Governor Romney to come and do the same. Thank you.